Are you looking for an internet talk radio station for your podcast? Look no further. At the helm of Passionate World Talk Radio are two women that want to provide a spot for you and your podcast to be heard. There are many other places for your podcast, but PWTR has the audience. You will not be disappointed. Our station has been on the internet for the past 16 years. Call us for more information. 484-364-1032 or text Jeannie White, station manager at THECONNECTSHOW@gmail.com for podcast show details. Welcome to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, entertain.
Hi, everybody. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio, where our mantra is to educate, enlighten, and entertain. The views of the guests may not represent those of the host of the station. Folks, you're going to want to listen to my special guest today because she is a powerhouse. She is an advocate. Linda Burhans. She is a gal who cares for the caregivers who have love, laughter, and lessons learned. She is an author. She wrote the book Connecting Caregivers, Answers to the Questions You Didn't Know You Needed to Ask. Well, how true is that? Love that title. And she has a talk show, Connecting Caregivers, which is on Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tan Talk Radio. It's also live on YouTube and Facebook. But if you're down in the Florida area, it's on 1340 AM and 106.1 FM. And Linda's a busy gal. She is doing a Caregivers Conference, Connecting Caregivers Conference, May 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It is free, and it is virtual. Linda, you are a busy woman. Thank you for coming on Chatting with Betsy.
Thank you so much for having me today. You know, we're all
welcome.
to help the caregivers any way we can.
Absolutely. I love the title of your book. I'll start with your book. I love the title of your book because you and I were caregivers. There's a lot of questions that needed to be asked and we didn't know. And now I'm so glad now there's so much information out there, Linda. You're out there all the time doing do you still do your tips on Tuesdays on Facebook?
Yes.
Doing your tips, you're having conversations now, casual conversations.
Yes.
You're a powerhouse. You're a phenomenal advocate. So what inspired you to write your book?
Well, that was my second book. My first book was Good Night.
Oh, your second book, okay.
Yeah, and that was about the last 18 months of my mother's life and how we didn't let the cancer kill us but strengthen our love. And when that book came out and I went out to promote that book, right away people came up to me crying saying they needed help every time. And that changed my whole career. That's when I became a caregiver advocate. Well, then a couple of years later, people kept asking me the same questions. Or in support groups, they didn't know what questions to ask. That's why I wrote the second book, and I had 18 professionals write the book with me, so each one wrote a chapter on their expertise. And then I follow with a heartfelt story because that's my deal, really. Because there are so many questions you don't need because when you become a caregiver, it's either slow and gradual and you don't even realize it, or it happens in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know what questions to ask or where to go. And I'm so grateful today that we have all these different avenues with Zoom and the Internet to reach so many more caregivers.
Yes. Oh, definitely, Linda. And I'm grateful for people like you who are out there. I tell caregivers, you know, this might sound harsh, but I'm from New Jersey. You're from New York. We know how it is.
Yep.
There's no reason not to be educated now. There are people on Facebook, on other avenues every day to get information. And, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not familiar with Linda Burhans, you need to get familiar with Linda. She is a wealth of information, a caregiver advocate, I love your tips for Tuesday. And
well, I'll tell you, the Tuesday tips started with what, can I give them a little information in a couple of minutes?
Sure.
Because caregivers are so busy.
Yes.
And I looked the other day, and since the caregivers tips started, it's about, I guess, 2.5 years now. We've had over 60,000 views of the tips.
Wow.
That means 60,000 people had an opportunity to get a tip in less than 5 minutes, and hopefully it makes a difference.
Yes. Yeah, it's just phenomenal. And I want to tell the viewers, Linda's book, 5-star reviews on Amazon. You can get on Amazon.com. And, yeah, because you know what, Linda, sometimes we don't, as caregivers, we don't have time to sit for 30, 40 minutes to listen to someone.
No.
But a quick tip like you give is phenomenal. It's really great.
What's also good is with the conference, so as long as you register for the conference, I don't expect somebody's going to sit there for 3 days and watch 21 presenters. You can pop it in and out whenever you want, but if you register for the conference, about a week or so after the conference, you will receive 21 recordings of the conference, of each separate entity of the conference, so you can watch anything you want at your leisure. And I think that's so powerful today that we can do that.
Yes. Yes, it is, because I know when I started with my mother-in-law 22 years ago, there wasn't that information. Even with Matt 12 years ago, there wasn't that information. It's only been since COVID that really a lot has been on Zoom or Facebook.
Well, I'll tell you, when you were taking care of your mom 22 years ago, nobody even knew they were a caregiver. When I first started doing this, I had to educate them. That they were caregivers before I could help them. Because you know the story. I'm the faithful spouse. I'm the good daughter. I'm the whatever. No, you're the caregiver. So it's more so interesting now. And now with everything with Alzheimer's and dementia, you see it on television shows. You see articles about it. You see so much more that you didn't see before. Yes.
Yes, and it's great. And you know what, Linda, maybe it's ego. I'd like to think that we're pioneers. You know, we trailblazed, and now other people are following suit. They're out there, and that's great. More people out there educating others.
Yeah. I just feel like I'm a vessel. I'm just a vessel.
Yes.
So I'm open up to the possibilities. I'm open up to the education. I'm open to anything I can do for caregivers, and I'm the vessel, and Spirit, the Lord, leads me that way. And we say, okay, what's happening next? You know, what can we do next?
Yes. Yes, and you know what, Linda, as you know, we never know who's listening, who's watching, who we're helping, how far do the ripples go. We know that education, and not just for caregivers, education is desperately needed among medical professionals. Do you, by any chance, do any conferences or consult with medical professionals about educating about Alzheimer's, dementia?
Well, in fact, one of the speakers we have at the conference, Dr. Karen Truman, will be doing a session on Thursday, and people will also be able to receive a CEU. So that's great information and great stuff. You know, the first conference, I have probably 50% of the speakers are back from the first conference with different titles, different, conversations. But the other 50% are all new people, because people started contacting me from all over the place saying, I want to be part of your conference. I didn't know who they were. So I had to check out who they were and vet them before I decided if I even wanted to have a conversation, because my caregivers are very vulnerable and they trust me. So I'm really careful of who I bring to the table.
Yes, I definitely agree with that, because as you and I know, Lynn, there's a lot of wackos out there. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. A lot of snake oil people.
I don't really affiliate myself with too many communities, because a community could be, I don't have time to babysit them. A community could be absolutely fabulous, and then they have new people come in and take over, or they've lost a lot of their staff, and now I wouldn't want to go there at all. So that continuing education and asking your friends, where do you go? Who did you use? Who did you have a good experience with is so important.
Yes, that is, because, recommending, I find recommending, a doctor or a whoever a professional is,
right.
It's kind of difficult because everyone has different personality. I might like someone,
right.
You may not. It's how you click. But
for instance, I have different senior care attorneys, elder care attorneys I work with. Okay, well, one happens to be a male. Some of my clients are more comfortable with a male. Another one's a female, very soft-spoken. They all do a great job. One is in this location and is good for these people, and in another location it's not. So you have to pick and choose.
Yes.
And I will say
yes.
that I am very blessed to be in this Tampa Bay area because all the professionals here really work really well together. It's not like you're stepping on my toes. So if I don't have the answer for you, I know someone who does. And I think that's very important.
Yes, it is. And can you tell the audience, how did you get started as being a caregiver advocate? Because a lot of people think, well, how do I start?
Well, I had to get a big education first. I had my own education from being a caregiver myself. My mother had dementia, but very mild, so I really didn't know a lot about that. So I had to learn about that and Parkinson's. In the beginning when I was doing my caregiver advocacy, it was mostly Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and dementia. Now Parkinson's is right up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the Parkinson's Foundation, and I took classes, and I learned, just so that I can pass on this proper information for our caregivers. Because they don't have time to do research. I want to bring the information right on the table to them.
Right,
I mean,
yes.
If you Google something, you know what you're going to get. There's stuff that a caregiver doesn't even have time to go looking at every single website and reading every story. But if I can centralize a lot of this information through conferences or my website or my radio show, it just makes it easier for them.
Yes, that is true, because a lot of caregivers, like, I know myself, I felt like sometimes I was desperate. I know that there was no cure, but yet you want a cure. So I would try coconut oil. And I, think people just will grasp at whatever straw would give them some kind of hope. But a lot of times they are getting scammed, or, they're wasting their money. And that's why it is important to have the proper information. And you, on your talk show, you interview many different caregivers and people who are professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? It's a very good show, folks. I was on it a couple of years ago.
Thanks. Well, so I have my radio show now we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. About a year ago, I started a podcast called Candid Conversations, because part of me felt like I was shoving caregiving down my listeners' throats 24/7. So Candid Conversations is about anything that I think it's interesting. It might be, so you want to write a book. It might be about gratitude. It might be about a new author. It might be just something good that's going on in the community, because I wanted to give them a little bit of a break to know that you have some other kind of life besides the caregiving.
And where is your podcast heard, Linda?
It's all on YouTube. It's Tuesdays at 10:30. It's live on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay. And what is the name of that?
Candid Conversations. Connecting Caregivers presents Candid Conversations.
Oh, okay. Folks, I'm telling you, if I were you, you're a caregiver, check it out. And even if you're not a caregiver, you might end up being one. You just never know. You just really never know.
What did Rosalind Carter say years ago? You either are a caregiver, you have been a caregiver, you will be a caregiver, or someone's going to be taking care of you. So
You're right. Anyone?
I tell everybody it's an equal opportunity employer.
Yes, yes, that's for sure.
Everybody gets a chance in some form or fashion.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
And especially
getting older.
We're living so much longer now.
Yes.
You know, when I was a kid, if Grandma lived to 65, 70, that was good. Not today.
That's right.
Thank God, because I'm 68.
Living a lot longer. Yeah, well, I'm
there are a lot more
64.
There are a lot more challenges with living longer.
Yes, that's very, very true. I did a interview last month with Rick Edelman, and he's the founder of the Edelman Financial Engines, and he had the podcast, The Truth About Your Future. And he had a previous podcast, The Truth About Your Money. He talked about Alzheimer's. He's into Alzheimer's research. And, you know, people are living now or can live to 100, maybe even past 100. So your money has to last. And who's going to take care of you? What is your future look like? And these are things we didn't have to think about before, because most people, you know, they retired and they died. Well, it's not like that now. And really have to plan. Go ahead.
I remember years ago I was doing this support group, and it was an Alzheimer's dementia support group, and it was at a community. And one day this woman came in and she said, I've just been diagnosed. I live here by myself. Can I sit on the group because I don't know what's facing me? It was very interesting. Well, her and I became friendly. And I just remember thinking all the time, where are your kids? Because she told me that she had 2 sons. You know, like, where are your kids? Because I think in my head, kids are 35. And when I came down to it, her kids was 70. So they had their own issues.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They had their own issues. You know, when I have somebody come into a support group and it's an 86-year-old woman taking care of a 90-year-old man, that's tough.
Yes. Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think myself, you know, I'm 64. My son will be 38 in July, but he can't take care of me. I'm going to have to be placed. I know it. I wouldn't want him to take care of me anyway. And, you know, the children, you're right, Linda, because, you know, when people who have dementia at a young age, if they're in their 40s or 50s, their kids most likely are younger. And my hat goes off to them, because I really don't know how you do it when you have very young children and they're seeing especially their parent or grandparent or whoever it is, go through so many changes. That's tough.
It is tough, but it's the reality of what's happening now. You know, my grandson lives with me. He'll be 18 in 2 weeks. And when his friends come over, I tell them, pull out your phone and go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And all of his friends know about Alzheimer's and dementia and everything, because I need to educate these kids too. Because they're going to be dealing with it one day, whether it's me or somebody, you know, their parents, their grandparents, or whoever it is. And I'll tell you, the kids are kind of into it. They want to understand it. And I think that's real important, because so many times when our people are aging, whether it's Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, cancer, whatever, we keep it away from the kids. We don't want the kids to be burdened about it. We don't want the kids to hear about it, but the kids need to know about it.
That's right. That's true. When we moved in with my mother-in-law, we didn't know she had Alzheimer's at the time, and then it eventually came out.
Right.
And my son Josh was 17, I think 17 when she was diagnosed. And, you know, Josh wanted to know, why is Grandma acting strange, yelling at me, accusing me of stealing? And I, you know, explained it to him, because Josh has special needs. It's like someone took an eraser and just erased her brain, like you take an eraser to a paper
Yeah.
and you erase everything. And he understood it that way.
Yeah.
And he was so good. Josh was so good with his grandma and so good with his dad. I wouldn't have been able to work if it wasn't for Josh. And, you know, Josh understood, so proud of him, he understood Alzheimer's, Linda, better than some so-called intelligent people.
On a whole different level. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and Josh did not like it when people made jokes about Alzheimer's. You know, we in our house, we had to have a sense of humor to deal with it. But when someone just makes a joke about it, that was totally different. Josh took offense to that. He was very, very sensitive. He would come home and tell me, "That's no joke, Mom." And I said, "Well, I know. We know it's no joke."
But
yes,
see, that's why you have to have these conversations. So my friend Brian LeBlanc, he has Alzheimer's, and he talks about it because you don't find a lot of people, well, now more people with it speaking out about it. And so I said to him one day, "What's something that really bothers you that people do?" And he said, "You know what really bothers me, Linda?" He said, "Maureen and I will be standing there chatting, and people will come over and they'll chat with us like everything, you know, how you doing? Everything's fine." He goes, and then all of a sudden they lean into Maureen's ear and they go, "How's he doing?" He goes, "I'm not deaf. I have Alzheimer's." Why don't you ask me?
Right. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Why don't you ask him?
Yes,
People
that's
are like,
right.
Oh, Mom's sitting in the chair. She's not talking to anybody. Well, are you talking to her?
That's
are
right.
You talking to her?
That's true. Yes,
it
is true. We were,
house, you know, doing your thing. It's like, oh, my mother never hears me. I go, well, do you sit down and look at your mother in the eyes when you're talking to her, or are you like running around the house doing stuff? Well, I'm running around the house. I said, well, she probably doesn't hear anything you're saying.
That's right. You have to have that eye contact.
Yeah. And in any conversation in life, don't you want to have that eye contact?
Eye contact, and you know, if you can, human, you know, touch, and talk slower. You know, you'd have to talk slowly and repeat yourself. But they're definitely. I mean, I wish Matt would have talked more, but he wouldn't talk. Forget about talking publicly. That wasn't his thing. But he did tell me, you know, some things of how he felt, and he hated the way he was. I saw him crying a couple of times. He did not like it. I mean, who would?
I don't think I would.
Right. Nobody would like it. And you know what, Linda? I love the conversations you have, and because people need to learn. We need to treat people who have dementia with respect and dignity. That's what they want. That's what they deserve. Everyone deserves that. Yeah. Nobody wants to be passed over.
Everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody wants to be included. Everybody wants a purpose. And we take that away many times from our loved ones. You know, if I'm making fruit salad, let's say, so I can cut it up in 10 minutes. If Mom's going to do it with me, it's probably going to take a half hour. But who am I serving? Who am I serving?
That's right.
We don't think about that enough.
That's true.
You know,
we don't.
I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that lady sitting in the chair and nobody's talking to me. You know, I don't want to be that when I try to do something, if it's not right, people frown down on me. You know, one caregiver told me a story where her mother takes dirty utensils and instead of putting them in the dishwasher, she puts them in the drawer in the kitchen. Okay, it's not so nice. It's not so favorable, but it's not the end of the world. At least Mom was trying to help.
Right. I think sometimes, too, Linda, that we need to remember nobody wants to be set up for failure. We need to set our loved ones up for success. Give them something that they enjoy doing. If they didn't like doing it before they had dementia, they're not going to want to do it when they had dementia. They're just. I don't think that they're going to. I mean, Matt was never into puzzles or games. Yeah. So I didn't do that with him. Right. Yeah, because he wouldn't have liked it. You know, just to have conversation. But I feel like, sometimes the caregiver needs to put aside themselves and get over themselves because it's not all about them. And,
right.
take your loved one out. If you want to go to a restaurant, don't go at the high busy times when your loved one's sundowning. Take them
Right.
in their best time of day and when it's quiet, for instance. Or you go to someone's house for dinner. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just make it simple. Like when you go to someone's house for dinner, we're going to say, just make it simple.
Right. And, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm such a talker. It's hard. Go ahead.
Me too. Well, you have a New York and New Jersey here, folks. We're both talkers.
But, I had a caregiver one time, and she came to a support group, and she said, my mother's driving me out of my mind. She just follows me around the house all day. That's all she does is just follow me around the house all day. She was like, if she could just, sit down for 2 hours, Linda, it would, change everything. So I said, could I meet your mom? She said, yeah. I went over. I could meet her mom. And her mom used to be a teacher. Her mom was 90-something years old. So first we talked about all the rotten kids today. And then we talked about how the teachers don't get paid enough money. But what we do is every Monday we give Mama a piece of poster board, and we give her magazines. And Mama, next week the teachers are teaching the kids about flowers. So we need you to cut all the flowers out of these magazines and glue it on the poster board, and you can't have any white spots. And it takes her 2 hours a day, 5 days a week to do it. And after a while, the daughter started bringing it to the school, and the kids started saying thank you notes. And especially if Mom has dementia, next Monday you could start with the exact same thing if you want. One could be the animals, or because she was a teacher. Another caregiver, her mom was a seamstress. So we give her a big, huge jar all filled with buttons and little containers to sort the buttons in. And sometimes she sorts them by color, and sometimes she sorts them by size or shape. But every now and then she picks up that one button and she says, just like on the dress I made you when you were in second grade. And then they have a conversation on top of her mom being happy with what she's doing. Another one was a banker. They give her tons of jars of change and the paper rolls. She rolls them all up. She goes to bed. They dump them out. They give them to the next day. She's happy. She was a banker. So if you want to find something for your loved one to do, think about what they used to do and what they liked.
Yes. Yes, that's very good. I think I heard you, yes, with the teacher, and I think it was you, not sure, someone who was a secretary, and they would stuff envelopes. Their family, you told the family to.
My mother. That was my mother. So my mother.
That was your mother.
My mother would come over to my house, and my mother had stage 4 colon cancer and some dementia, and she'd go, Linda, is there anything I can do for you? And I'd be, Mom, there's some laundry in the basket there if you want to fold it. She goes, I don't want to do that. And then the next day, anything I can do for you? I go, Mom, there's a couple of dishes in the sink. I don't want to do that. But I remembered that she was a legal secretary, and it was a big deal for her in the day. So I printed out 500 phony letters, and I got 500 envelopes and labels. And I asked her, could she just stuff them and put the labels on for me? And it took her like a week watching Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy to do it. But she was so proud when she handed that to me. She was so proud that she did something to help me. It was the best $20 I ever spent.
That's fantastic. I love your stories and, your solutions that you have come up with because they're so practical. Find something that your loved one loved to do. Set them up for success. And I just
like you said, Matt didn't like puzzles. I don't want anybody giving me a puzzle to do.
Right.
I hate puzzles. But give me something else to do. Good with that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just people who used to be farmers or like to garden.
Right.
You could make a little garden or have like a little planting area if they like working with their hands. Even Play-Doh, to knead the Play-Doh and make your Play-Doh. we did that in the preschool where you make your own Play-Doh and you could, mold it. I mean, you just had to be inventive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was years ago. There was a caregiver that came to my support group. She was taking care of her mom, and then her mom passed away, and she moved back to Georgia. I'm in Florida. Probably about 3 years later, she sends me an email, and she goes, "I'm back, but this time I'm taking care of my aunt, my godmother." So her godmother was an artist, and so she said, "My godmother's house is filled with sculptures and paintings and all this stuff." She said, "But my godmother always says to me that she always felt that she was closest to God when she worked in the garden, when she had her hands in the soil. She felt closer to God." She said, "But my aunt's way too fragile to go in the garden." So her and I brainstormed, and what she did was she contacted all her family and friends and asked them to please send pots with soil and bulbs and a story. And people started sending them, and her aunt could do this in the house. She could plant the bulbs in the soil in the pot. She goes, and another week, another one would come, and then they were all blooming in the house. And she said, when the very last one bloomed, my aunt passed away. She said, but I took all the pots back to Georgia and made a garden in her memory.
Oh, wow. That's nice. Yeah,
I call that blooming with love. Blooming with love.
Yes, that's it. Finding, something. And I don't. Have you found, Linda, that some caregivers they don't know how to readjust, or they want to accept that they have to adjust? Like holiday time. You can't have a lot of people over if your loved one can't handle it, or go to someone's house. You don't do it, or the decorations may not be safe and might scare them. So you put it away. You will eventually be able to do that again. Your loved one won't be there, but you'll be able to enjoy it again. And you know how important it is, Linda. We tell people basically the same thing in different ways. Enjoy the time with your loved one.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want. They want your love and they want your time. That's it. No fancy meal, no fancy presents.
No.
I don't care about the house being spick and span. They want your love and time.
Yeah. Somebody said recently, I was on some kind of a networking call, and at the end they said they want each person to say, would they like to go forward in time or back in time if they had a choice? And some people say, I want to go back in time. Maybe I will get a better job, whatever. And I thought, I just want to go back in time to my grandma's house, and I want my grandma and grandpa to be there, and my mom and dad to be there, and all my people that aren't here. I just want to run, so while you still have them here, please take the benefit of that. Take the benefit of that. Spend time. Like you said, Betsy, I don't care if the floor's vacuumed. I care that my loved one feels secure and safe. And secure and safe is not just about fall prevention. Secure and safe is about emotional, one time I had a friend of mine who used to go into dementia communities and do engagement. And so they would come in there, they would bring a parachute, they would all hold, go in a circle and hold it and throw it up and down. They would throw balloons back and forth. And there was one woman that they brought in every week, and she just sat in the chair and never opened her eyes and never said a word. But they brought her. Well, after a couple of weeks, we found out that woman liked horses. So every week when they would go back with the activities, they would bring her a horse, whether it was a stuffed animal, a model, whatever it was. And she never opened her eyes. She just sat in the chair and held the horse. And then probably 4 more weeks passed, and they were in the circle, and somebody said something about a horse, and she raised her horse and opened her eyes.
Wow.
Yeah. So she was there. We just had to open the door for her. We just had to open the door for her. We need to open
amazing.
The door for her. Yeah. It's just like, and that's why I do what I do, because there's a lot of grief in what I do. and there's a lot of really tough stuff. But the miracles I see, and the love I see, and the care I see, oh my goodness. It makes it all worthwhile. It makes all of it worthwhile.
It sure does. I know I learned a lot from you, Linda, when Matt was still alive. And I still watch you. And I learned a lot from you. And I appreciate you coming on my show. And I appreciate what you do for others. And you're just, like I said, you're a powerhouse. You are something else.
I always say to people, what you see is what you get. I'm very transparent. I am not perfect. I am who I am. But I come from my heart, and I come from my faith, and I'm here to help you in any way I can, and that's sincere. I may not do it all right, but now as becoming a much more mature woman at 68, I don't have to do it all right perfectly.
That's right. That's right.
Always do my best. Right.
Yes, that's so true. Linda, I want to ask you, it's going to be in the blog, so I want to tell the audience, please read the blog, because information about the conference and how to get in touch with Linda is going to be in the blog. But can you just tell the audience how they can register for the conference?
Yeah. They just go to Connecting Caregivers Conference.com. It's all free to caregivers. Thank you to our wonderful partners. And like I say, CU will be offered. And also, if you can't be there for the whole conference, but as long as you register, you'll be privy to every recording.
And is that for free, Linda, the recordings?
For free.
Wow.
My caregivers don't need to pay for anything. They have enough going on.
Wow. Folks, I'm going to say this. That's a big wow, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, I'm from New Jersey. Linda and I have a lot in common. She's from New York. I'm from New Jersey. We say it like it is. You are the only person that's giving, that I know of, that is giving free recordings. Many times you have to pay for the recordings. Many, many, many times. I don't think I ever saw anything to get a free copy that I could remember off the top of my head. This is phenomenal, Linda, and I really want the world to know. So this is going to be in the blog. I also shared it actually in my group, Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement, about the conference, and I will again.
Thank you.
And you're welcome on my personal page.
You'll be seeing me. I'll be hammering it out there on LinkedIn and YouTube and wherever I can, because I want to reach as many caregivers as we can.
Yes, and this will definitely be, they're hearing it here on the show, and it will be in the blog, and I will be posting it again because this is an important conference, and I am going to register myself. I'm not a caregiver for someone who has dementia anymore, but I want to learn, and I have to remind myself I am still a caregiver. I'm a caregiver for my son, and I want to learn. So I definitely am going to register.
Each day at lunchtime we'll have yoga or Reiki or just cool stuff for caregivers.
That is really so generous. I'm sure you might have heard, Linda, I've heard it from caregivers, oh, I can't listen to a podcast. I can't listen to this. I don't have the time. You know what? I'm going to be honest. I was a caregiver and I worked. You make the time. You know how I used to listen to some podcasts with earphones in my ears, take maybe 10, 15-minute intervals because some people's voices bothered Matt. So if you really want to listen to something, you make the time. I'm going to register.
You know,
as soon as I can, I'm going to register today.
A caregiver said to me recently, she said, your radio show used to be on Saturdays, but now it's on Fridays. And she goes, that's fabulous to me because my daughter has off on Fridays. So she said, so every Friday now my daughter comes over and spends time with my husband. She goes, and I got a triple thing here, Linda. She goes, I put the earbuds in, I go to the botanical gardens, I walk around, I listen to the show. She said, so I get beauty, I get education, and I get exercise.
Oh, I love it.
Way to go, girlfriend.
Yes, I love that. That is That's incredible. I want to thank you, Linda Burhans, for coming on, chatting with Betsy. I love the work that you do. God bless you. Folks.
Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome. Get in touch with Linda. Check out her show. Go on the YouTube. All the links will be in the blog. If you're not watching or hearing her show, you're missing out because you are. I mean, if this is good information to know because you never know when you're going to be a caregiver. Trust me,
No.
You do not know. And you want to be prepared. And I think it's great. I mean, everything you do, Linda, is great.
Thanks.
I
Thank you.
really admire you.
Ditto.
Thank you.
Ditto right back to you.
Oh, thank you, Linda. Thank you very much. And I am going to register today for that conference because I want some recordings. That's I'm just here speechless because the recordings are for free. Because I'm telling you, folks, you don't get that. You don't. I've been to not caregiver related, but like self-help.
Yeah.
And the class might be for free, the workshop, but then they want $200.
Exactly.
And sometimes more for the recording. So this is an opportunity not to be missed by anybody, really. That everyone should just hop on and register. So thank you, Linda. Thank you for listening, my dear, lovely audience. And please share this podcast to help other people. Let them know about Linda Burhans. My show, Chatting with Betsy, is to help people and to provide resources that I wish I knew about when Matt was alive. I did watch Linda, and I learned a lot from Linda, and I pass that knowledge on, and I really want to help other people. So please share this podcast. Tell them about Linda's conference. Tell them about Linda's podcast, her talk show. We're all in this to help support one another, and that's what we're here for, to support each other and to help each other. And I want to thank Jeannie White, the station manager, Passionate World Talk Radio, for producing the show, writing the blog, and please read the blog. And I want to thank Lillian Caldwell, who's CEO, Passionate World Talk Radio, who makes this all possible, gives people a chance to be heard, which is so important. And I want to thank you all, the audience, for listening, sharing, and just getting it out there. That's, I want it out there to help other people. And if you missed any of this podcast, you can hear it again. Wherever you hear your favorite podcast, it is free to subscribe to Chatting with Betsy. I'm on Spotify, Spreaker, CastBox, and some of the other podcast outlets. So, folks, remember, in a world where you could be anything, to please be kind. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy and Passionate World Talk Radio. Till we chat again. Bye-bye now.
Are you looking for an internet talk radio station for your podcast? Look no further. At the helm of Passionate World Talk Radio are two women that want to provide a spot for you and your podcast to be heard. There are many other places for your podcast, but PWTR has the audience. You will not be disappointed. Our station has been on the internet for the past 16 years. Call us for more information. 484-364-1032 or text Jeannie White, station manager, at THECONNECTSHOW@gmail.com for podcast show details. Thank you for listening to Passionate World Talk Radio. You can listen to this program all over again by going over to https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. You can also hear it on Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Alexa, AMFM247.com, every Tuesday evening between 8 and 9 p.m. YouTube, Facebook, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, and all the other podcast directories one can find on the Internet.